All right, so get this. You sent over some info on lightwave logic, LWLG, on the stock market, and they're doing some interesting stuff with high-speed data transmission.
Yeah.
We're talking the kind of tech that could, like, change how we use the internet.
Yeah.
And we've got a couple sources for this deep dive.
Okay.
One is we've got some excerpts from an investor who is like really bullish on LWLG and their potential.
Okay.
And then we've got a presentation that LWLG themselves gave at the ECOC Market Focus back in September.
Nice.
So we're going to kind of like weave those two sources together.
Great.
And the mission is, to understand like what LWLG does.
Yeah.
Why is this potentially exciting? And what are investors thinking about?
Yeah, sounds good.
So let's jump in.
Yeah, let's start with like the basics.
Yeah.
What LWLG does is they make these specialized polymers that go into optical modulators.
Okay.
So think of it like this data travels through fiber optic cables.
Okay.
And these modulators are like traffic signals. They direct the flow of information.
Okay, I'm picturing those little flashing lights directing traffic.
Yeah.
So LWLG is making those?
Not exactly. They're making the material that makes those traffic signals work better and faster.
Oh.
So their special ingredient is this polymer called perkinamine.
Okay.
And it's designed to make data transmission super fast and way more efficient.
Got it.
And that's a big deal because, like, we are creating and consuming more data than ever before.
Oh, yeah.
Data centers are practically bursting at the seams trying to keep up.
Yeah.
So anything that can help speed things up and cut down on power consumption is going to be in high demand.
Makes total sense. Like, my internet can barely handle streaming a movie sometimes. So faster data speeds, less buffering.
Yeah.
I'm already seeing the appeal.
For sure.
And speaking of appeal, we've got this investor who's super excited about LWLG's potential.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to licensing deals.
Right.
And, they already have a deal with a company called Polariton. But this investor thinks that scoring a deal with a major player, a tier 1 company, would be a total game changer.
Yeah.
They even predict that LWLG could be looking at over $100 million in sales.
Wow.
Within the first year after a big deal.
Yeah.
They're basing that on a similar deal that a company called ASTS landed for $100 million.
Okay.
So, $100 million, that's a serious chunk of change.
For sure.
Although it does make you wonder, are they getting a little ahead of themselves?
Well, every deal is unique.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that LWLG would get the same terms.
Right.
But you can see why investors are excited.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's shift gears and see what LWLG has to say for themselves.
Good idea.
In their presentation at EAOC.
Yeah.
They really hammered home the potential of their technology for reaching these blazing fast data speeds of 200 and 400 gigabits per second.
Yeah, 400 gigabit lanes. It's like having an 8-lane highway for data.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And their financials look pretty solid, too.
Yeah, they're sitting on over $30 million in cash.
Wow.
Zero debt. And a market cap nearing $500 million.
It seems like they've got the resources to really make things happen.
For sure.
Yeah, they do seem to be in a strong position, but remember that safe harbor statement at the beginning of their slides?
Oh, yeah.
It always makes me feel like I need a lawyer to decipher it.
Yeah.
What are they really saying there?
Well, it's actually pretty simple.
Okay.
It's their way of saying, hey, we're excited about the future, but remember, nothing is certain.
Okay.
They're reminding everyone that predictions aren't guarantees.
Yeah.
It's just a standard disclaimer.
Yeah.
But a good reminder that the future is never set in stone.
Right. Always good to keep that in mind. Okay, back to the tech itself.
Yeah.
LWLG is all about scaling optical PMD, which is, help me out here.
Yeah, so PMD stands for physical medium dependent.
Okay.
Essentially, it's about physically transmitting data through those fiber optic cables.
Okay.
The challenge is, as we create and use more data, we need these PMDs to handle faster and faster speeds.
And the old ways of doing things just aren't cutting it anymore.
Exactly. Their presentation actually lays out like the 4 main options for scaling optical PMD.
Okay.
And the hurdles that each one faces.
Okay.
So first up is PM4.
Okay.
Which has been the standard for a while, but can't handle speeds beyond about 3.2 terabits per second.
So it's hitting a wall.
Yeah, it's hitting its limits.
Okay, so what else is there?
So next you've got STM and WDM.
Okay.
Which can handle much faster speeds, but there's a catch.
Okay.
They need incredibly complicated and expensive fiber handling techniques.
Like, what are we talking about?
Imagine trying to perfectly align thousands of microscopic threads. That's what we're talking about.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It is.
Okay.
Then there's coherent technology.
Okay.
It's super powerful, but incredibly complex and expensive.
Got it.
It's not likely to be used in data centers until we hit data rates of around 6.4 terabits per second.
Okay, so we've got PAM4 hitting its limits.
Yeah.
And these other options that are just too complex or expensive.
Right.
Where do we go from here?
That's where LWLG thinks their perkinamine polymers are the answer.
Okay.
They believe it can overcome the limitations of these other approaches.
I'm starting to see why that investor was so bullish.
Yeah.
So what makes perkinamine so special?
3 things.
Okay.
First, it works at a really low drive voltage, about 1 volt.
Okay.
Second, it can handle data rates up to 100 gigabaud PM4, which translates to a blazing fast 200 gigabits per second.
Wow.
And third, it has something called open eyes.
Open eyes?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Okay, think of it this way.
Okay.
Imagine you're reading a text message.
Okay.
And the letters are all blurry and jumbled together.
Yeah.
That's what happens when the signal quality is poor.
Okay.
Open eyes means the signal is crisp and easy to read, ensuring data is transmitted accurately, even at those crazy high speeds.
Okay, so it's like having perfect vision for your data. Got it. But do we have any proof that perkinamine can actually deliver?
That's where the Polariton deal comes in.
Okay.
They're using perkinamine in their products right now, specifically for 400G lanes.
Okay.
It's real-world validation that LWLG's technology isn't just theoretical.
And Polariton isn't just some tiny startup, right?
Definitely not. They're a leader in the industry.
Okay.
Well-positioned to drive the adoption of 400G and even faster speeds.
Got it.
They're already talking about 1.6 terabit and even 3.2 terabit transceivers using perkinamine.
Wow.
We're talking data speeds that were practically science fiction just a few years ago.
Okay. Color me impressed.
Yeah.
So let's say this tech takes off.
Okay.
Can LWLG scale up production to meet that demand?
Good question.
Like, where does it all come from?
So it all starts with something called a chromophore.
Okay.
It's the core component of their electro-optic polymers.
Okay.
They have a facility in Denver dedicated to ramping up chromophore production.
Got it.
But it's not just about making a lot of it, it's about making it right. They're all about rigorous testing, characterization, and making sure it's reliable.
Okay.
And they've made significant improvements to their polymers over time, particularly when it comes to R33 TDD and TDD.
Okay, before we go any further, I need you to break down those three TD.
Okay, so R33 measures the material's electro-optic efficiency.
Okay.
Basically, how well it converts electrical signals into light signals.
Got it.
TD is the decomposition temperature.
Okay.
Or how well the material holds up in heat.
Got it.
And TG, probably the most important of the three, is the glass transition temperature.
Okay. All right. I'm with you so far.
Yeah.
But what makes TG so important?
Think of it this way.
Okay.
Imagine you're holding a piece of glass.
Okay.
And as you heat it up, it softens and eventually becomes like a gooey liquid.
Okay.
The temperature at which that happens is the glass transition temperature.
Got it.
The higher the TG, the more stable and durable the material is over time.
Okay.
LWLG's polymers have a really high TG,
Okay.
which means they're designed for the long haul.
And that's crucial, especially in data centers that need to run 24/7.
Right.
No one wants their internet crashing because a material got a little too warm.
Exactly.
So high T equals stability and reliability.
Yeah.
Got it.
And they're obsessed with quality. They even highlight their uniformity and purity,
Okay.
boasting average T values of close to 187 degrees Celsius
Wow.
and purity levels above 99.5%.
Talk about consistency.
Yeah.
It's like they're baking a perfect cake every time.
Right.
They really do seem committed to quality control.
Yeah.
But they're not just saying their materials are stable.
Right.
They're showing it with hard data.
Exactly.
Right.
One of the things they measure is temporal stability,
Okay.
which looks at how well the material keeps its poled state over time.
Hold up. Pulled state, you lost me again.
Oh, no worries.
Okay.
So remember those chromophores? They're like tiny magnets.
Okay.
Polling is the process of using an electric field to align them all in the same direction. And that alignment gives the material its electro-optic superpowers.
So temporal stability means those little magnets stay put doing their job for a long time.
Exactly. And the higher the TG, the longer that aligned state or poled state lasts.
Okay.
LWLG has data showing how dramatically the lifespan increases as the P-sheet goes up.
So they're not just talking a big game. They've got the receipts to back it up.
Right.
Okay. What other tests did they run to prove reliability?
Well, they tested modulator thermal stability,
Okay.
how well the modulator performs at different temperatures.
Got it.
They ran tests over 6,000 hours and found that the key performance metric V stayed incredibly stable with an average shift of only 1.2%.
That's tiny.
It is.
What about photostability?
Yeah.
How the material handles being exposed to light? That seems like it would be important for something dealing with light signals.
It's a good thought.
Yeah.
But their data suggests it's not a major issue as long as the materials are shielded from oxygen.
So problem solved with a little oxygen barrier. Okay, now keep in mind this is all happening in a controlled lab environment.
Of course.
The real test is how these materials perform out in the real world over many years.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where silicon foundries come into play, right?
Got it.
Okay.
So scaling up production isn't just about making more.
Right.
It's about compatibility with existing manufacturing processes.
Okay.
And LWLG stresses the importance of DFM, design for manufacturing.
Okay, but how does DFM relate to these silicon foundries?
So think of silicon foundries as the factories of the microelectronics world.
Okay.
Super sophisticated facilities churning out chips and other components in massive volumes.
Got it.
And the beauty is polymers are a perfect fit for these foundries because they're easy to work with and they don't need super high temperatures for processing.
So they're playing nice with the existing infrastructure, which makes scaling up easier.
Exactly. They even gave the example of partnering with a company called AMF
to
make polymer slot modulators on 200 millimeter silicon wafers.
Okay, I'm hearing polymer slot modulator a lot.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's a pretty important piece of the puzzle.
It is. They highlight its features.
Okay.
Low drive voltage, small size, incredibly high bandwidth, and the fact that it can be made on those 200 millimeter silicon wafers.
So it's like they've checked all the boxes.
Yeah.
Performance, efficiency, scalability.
Right.
But how does all of this translate into an actual business model?
That's where their two-pronged approach comes in.
Okay.
Licensing deals and product sales.
Smart move. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Exactly. They've got options.
Yeah.
The licensing model is especially interesting.
Okay.
Think about how OLED tech is now everywhere in displays.
Yeah.
It started small but became the standard.
Right.
LWLG wants to do the same thing with their polymers in the world of data transmission.
So they're not just making a better product, they're trying to reshape the entire landscape.
Right. And licensing is key to that vision.
Okay.
By working with silicon foundries, device manufacturers, even competitors, they could spread their technology far and wide.
I can see how that would be a game changer.
Yeah.
It's like they're planting seeds that could grow into this whole ecosystem of high-speed, low-power data transmission.
Exactly. And if that happens, the impact could be huge.
It's incredible to think about the possibilities. Okay, so we've covered what LWLG does, why investors are excited, and how their tech fits into the bigger picture.
Yeah.
What's next?
Well, we'd be remiss not to mention that LWLG isn't the only one working in this space.
Oh.
There are other companies out there with similar goals.
So it's a race.
It is a race.
Who are these other players?
That's for you to explore.
Okay.
We've given you a good foundation.
Yeah.
Now it's time for you to dig deeper.
All right, challenge accepted. I'm going to do some research and see who else is pushing the boundaries of data transmission. Anything else I should keep in mind?
Here's a thought.
Okay.
Where do you see this industry going in the next 5 to 10 years?
Okay.
What kind of breakthroughs could be on the horizon? And what impact might they have on our world?
Okay, now I'm really hooked. This is way more than just a tech story. This is about the future of, well, everything.
It is.
Thanks for guiding us through this. It's been fascinating.
You're welcome.
And to you listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you're as intrigued by the future of data transmission as we are now. Let's take a quick break and come back to dive even deeper. All right, so we've established that LWLG is working on some seriously cool tech with the potential to make data transmission faster and more efficient.
Yeah.
But let's zoom out for a second.
Okay.
What does that actually mean for, like, the average person? Are we talking flying cars and robot butlers?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
But think about how much we rely on fast data transmission already.
Yeah.
Like streaming movies, video calls, online gaming.
Yeah.
All of that needs a lot of bandwidth.
Right.
Now imagine those things, but faster, smoother, and with less lag.
Yeah.
That's what LWLG's technology could enable.
Okay, so I'm picturing crystal clear video calls. No more buffering on my Netflix shows.
Right.
And online gaming with zero lag. I can get behind that.
Yeah, and it's not just about entertainment.
Right.
Think about fields like healthcare.
Yeah.
Where doctors could use virtual reality to perform remote surgeries.
Wow.
Or education, where students could have immersive learning experiences from anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
All of that relies on moving massive amounts of data quickly and reliably.
Wow. So this could really change the game in a lot of industries.
Definitely.
It makes you wonder what kind of innovations we'll see as data transmission speeds increase.
Exactly. Faster data transmission opens up a world of possibilities.
But let's be real, there's always a flip side to any technological advancement.
Right.
We're already dealing with data breaches, privacy concerns, the potential for AI to be misused.
Yeah.
Wouldn't faster data speeds just make those problems worse?
It's a valid concern. As this technology develops, it's important to think about the potential downsides and address them proactively.
So it's not just about building a faster engine, it's about making sure we have good drivers and clear rules of the road.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
We need to ensure that these advancements are used responsibly and ethically.
All right, I'm convinced this is a big deal.
Yeah.
So we've covered LWLG's technology, their business model, the potential impact on different industries,
Yeah.
and even some of the potential pitfalls.
Yeah.
What's next?
Well, remember how we talked about LWLG not being the only player in this space?
Yeah.
Well, before you jump into researching their competitors,
Okay.
let's take a closer look at this polymer slot modulator.
Okay.
It's a key part of LWLG's strategy and really showcases how their technology works in practice.
Okay, let's do it. Remind me again, what exactly is this polymer slot modulator and why is it so important?
So it's essentially a tiny device that sits on a silicon chip
Okay.
and uses LWLG's electro-optic polymers to manipulate light,
Okay.
encoding data onto light signals that travel through fiber optic cables. Think of it like a tiny, super fast translator that helps your computer and the internet understand each other.
Okay, that makes sense. It's the bridge between the digital world and the optical world.
Exactly.
But what makes LWLG's polymer slot modulator different from anything else out there?
It all comes down to those key features we discussed earlier.
Okay.
Low dry voltage, small size, and incredibly high bandwidth.
Yeah.
Remember how we talked about the importance of low power consumption in data centers?
Yeah.
Well, the polymer slot modulator's low dry voltage means it sips power, making it a really energy-efficient solution.
So it's like the Prius of optical modulators?
Exactly. And its small size allows for incredibly dense packing of components on a chip,
Okay.
meaning you can fit more processing power into a smaller space. It's like building a city that can accommodate more people without taking up more land.
Got it. And then there's the high bandwidth. That's all about speed, right?
Right. The polymer slot modulator's high bandwidth means it can handle those blazing fast data rates we talked about.
200 gigabits per second, 400 gigabits per second, and potentially even faster in the future. It's like upgrading from a dirt road to a superhighway for your data.
Okay, I'm seeing the appeal, but can they actually manufacture this thing at scale?
Yeah.
We talked about silicon foundries being important for that, right?
Yes, and that's one of the most exciting things about this technology.
Okay.
LWLG has specifically designed the polymer slot modulator to be compatible with existing silicon foundry processes.
Okay.
Remember how we compared it to building a house?
Yeah.
Well, it's like they've designed their components to fit perfectly with the standard tools and materials used in construction,
Okay.
making it easy and cost-effective to build at scale.
So it's not just a cool idea, it's a cool idea that can actually be manufactured.
Precisely. And that's why this polymer slot modulator is such a game changer.
Yeah.
It brings together all the advantages of LWLG's technology.
Right.
High performance, low power consumption, small size.
Yeah.
In a package that's ready for mass production. I'm starting to see why LWLG is generating so much buzz. They're not just talking about the future, they're building it.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it. And that brings us back to the bigger picture.
Okay.
As we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
I want you to think about the potential ripple effects of this technology.
Okay, give me some food for thought. What kind of ripple effects are we talking about?
Imagine a world where data centers are smaller, more efficient, and use significantly less energy.
Okay.
Imagine internet speeds so fast that downloading a movie takes seconds.
Wow.
Imagine a world where virtual reality and augmented reality are seamless and accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
These are just a few examples of how LWLG's technology could reshape our world.
Okay, now I'm really getting excited. It feels like we're on the cusp of something truly revolutionary.
We might be, and that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about a company or a technology. We're talking about the future of how we live, work, and connect with each other.
It's a powerful reminder that technology is never just about the technology itself. It's about the impact it has on our lives and the possibilities it unlocks.
Absolutely.
All right, this has been an incredible journey so far.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up completely, I'm ready to tackle that challenge you gave me earlier.
Okay.
Researching LWLG's competitors. Where should I even start?
That's a great question, and it's the perfect place to begin our final part of this deep dive.
All right, so I've done some digging into the competitive landscape, and
Huh.
it turns out the world of high-speed data transmission
It's a crowded space.
it's a crowded space, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of companies vying for a piece of the pie.
Yeah, it's a hot market, and for good reason, the demand for faster, more efficient data transmission is only going to increase.
Yeah.
So where did you start your research?
Well, I figured the best place to start was with those other options for scaling optical PMD that we talked about earlier.
Okay.
PM4, SDM, WDM, and coherent technology.
Smart move. Each of those approaches has its own set of players and challenges. Yeah. What did you find?
Well, for PM4, it seems like the focus is on squeezing out every last bit of performance before it hits its limits.
Okay.
Companies like Broadcom, Cisco, and Intel are all working on advanced PM4 solutions.
Yeah, they're the established players with a lot of resources and expertise.
Yeah.
But PM4 is ultimately a limited technology. What about the other options?
Right. For SDM and WDM, the challenge is complexity and cost.
Yeah.
Companies like Ciena and Infinera are leading the way, but these technologies are typically used in long-haul applications, like connecting cities or continents.
Yeah.
It's not clear if they'll be practical for data centers anytime soon.
Right. Those complex fiber handling techniques we discussed are a major barrier to widespread adoption. What about coherent technology?
Yeah, coherent is kind of like the holy grail of high-speed data transmission.
It is.
Capable of incredible speeds and distances.
Yeah.
But as we discussed, it's also incredibly complex and expensive right now. Companies like Acacia Communications, now part of Cisco and NeoPhotonics, are working on making coherent technology more accessible.
Okay.
But it's still early days.
It sounds like there's a lot of activity across the board, with each technology path facing its own set of hurdles.
Yeah.
Where does that leave LWLG?
That's the interesting part. LWLG isn't directly competing with any of these companies.
Right.
They're playing a different game altogether.
Right. They're not focused on building the entire system.
Yeah.
They're focused on creating the core material that can enable faster, more efficient data transmission across a variety of platforms and technologies.
It's like they're supplying the high-performance engines that can power the next generation of race cars.
Yeah.
Regardless of who builds the rest of the car.
That's a great analogy, and that's what makes their licensing model so compelling.
Yeah.
They don't need to win every race themselves. They just need to be the engine supplier of choice.
So they're betting on collaboration and industry partnerships to drive adoption of their polymers.
Exactly. And it's a smart strategy in a rapidly evolving market.
Yeah.
It allows them to stay agile, adapt to new technologies, and potentially reach a much wider customer base than if they were trying to go it alone.
It's almost like they're creating a rising tide that lifts all boats.
In a way, yes. If they can demonstrate that their polymers are the key to unlocking the next level of performance, everyone will want to use them.
Okay, so after doing all this research, I'm more convinced than ever that LWLG is a company to watch.
Yeah.
But it's also clear that they're not operating in a vacuum.
Right.
There's a whole ecosystem of companies, technologies, and challenges out there.
And that's the beauty of a deep dive like this.
Yeah.
It's not just about getting the facts. It's about understanding the context, the nuances, and the interconnectedness of it all.
It's been an amazing journey, and I feel like I've learned so much.
Dude.
But as we wrap up, I can't help but wonder, what's next? What's the next chapter in this story?
That's the question, isn't it?